in the description that you just gave there, does that mean that some of these different options, from proposals, consolidations, arbitration, bankruptcy, some of them you're still going to get calls from creditors to pay up, or does all of these things stop those creditors?
The consumer proposal is once you signed up, you're guaranteed that all the calls will be stopped. By law, they get offered the consumer proposal agreement, and they have to. I'll give you an example. If you have 10 credit cards, all you need is 6 of them to accept it. The other 4 is involuntary, so they have no choice. As long as the bigger one accepts it, then it goes through at the end of the day. On the other side, I got a blank.
So on a consolidation or the arbitration?
On a consolidation, it's directly with the creditors, and they're not protected, but we do get the document that it's paid in full, and but they still try to get the balance to another agency. They will accept that payment, but then they will sell that account to another agency, and they will try to get the balance. If you negotiate it at 30%, the other account will try to get the other 70%. And now we start the ball rolling again. They want 80, they want 50, and then it goes to the last resort, which becomes again 25%. That's why it takes between 45 days to 3 months, because if you settle right away, the amount they did, we get a receipt that they're happy, they will take it, but they still turn around and sell it again to somebody else trying to get more out of it.
Ah, okay. So that's their game for how they try to get as much out of you as they can.
Yes. At the end of the day, their job is to get as much money so that their creditor can get paid what is owed to them at the end of the day.
Okay, and of course, then you're on the other side trying to keep as much of their money and their assets as possible.
Our job is to save as much money to the client compared to the agencies are there to make as much money for their creditor, who is the client.
Okay, that's very good to know. So, okay, so what can a person do to figure out which of these options or options is right for them?
Well, the way the system is set out, we must do before they say, well, how do I qualify? Well, we need to do an analysis of their finance situation. We need their credit report, see what's on there, and then once we fill out the information that's required, then we can give them their option. It tells us, okay, well, you're in the minus. Yeah, there's no. I'll give you an example. Somebody that doesn't have a house and he just has a regular job, and he's in debt and can't afford it. He's minus $500 every month. Well, that's automatically a bankruptcy. You don't have other choice but that at the end of the day. Well, where it becomes a consumer proposal is when you're capable of making a sum of payment. It doesn't mean the whole thing, but 21 cents on the dollar, it would be a sum of kind of a payment that they can afford on a term of 5 years at the end of the day. So that would determine which it goes left or right for a bankruptcy or a consumer proposal. The evaluation is what decides which way it's going to go, and every individual is different because their lifestyle is different, how much credit card they have, what was their damage until they got to that point is also a difference. And if the big difference in both of those, and if they have joint account with their spouse, that becomes another story at the end of the day. And that could change from a bankruptcy. They must go into a consumer proposal because they can't afford the bankruptcy at the end of the day.
Okay, interesting. So does it matter how the debt or where the debt was incurred, whether you bought a boat or whether it was from a business that you're an entrepreneur running your own business? Does where the debt came from, does that matter at all?
Well, there are some legality that will exclude some of them. Child support will not be included. You
Okay.
must pay your obligation. If you are a gambler, they're not included in a bankruptcy proposal. You are responsible for those debts. at the end of the day, because they call it, it's a bad habit, put it that way, for the gambling. So if you use your credit card for gambling, or you're living your paycheck for gambling, you are responsible to pay the whole amount 100% on the gambling side. You have other credit cards, they could be included, but not the gambling at the
Got
end
it.
of the day. Yeah.
Okay.
And going to where they come from, depending of the situation. If they 6 months earlier they bought a set of bed at IKEA or wherever, and they were doing well at that point, and then suddenly the life got in the way, and they become in problem financially, and they go into bankruptcy, and they want to include that. They're allowed, because it's a nature's thing that happened. It's not something they created at the end of the day. Some people will buy something and say, well, I'll put it in there so I don't have to pay for it. Well, that's another pair of a situation that you don't get away with it, plain and simple.
Okay, so if the purchase date is after the date that you've begun trying to get a proposal together, it's not going through.
I'll answer that. That's a very good question, Bob. The minute you start being behind financially on some of your responsibility of credit, they will look, the superintendent of bankruptcy will look at what's the date you started being in trouble financially. And if you bought something in the next 3 months while you are in trouble, then that will not be allowed at the end of the day.
Okay, good. So where you are and what options are open to you is a fairly complex thing to go through, to work through, to find out what the best option is going to be for you. How does Debt Masters help somebody with this one?
Well, at the end of the day, we're all over Canada, but every region, like Manitoba, Calgary, there's all little difference in the rules and regulation. But we deal with every trustee in every region, and we can help almost everybody in Canada. There's no difference from which part or the other, because we have our specialists in credit counseling that know the rules and regulation, and we'll give them their best option, whichever area they are in.
Okay. All right. Terrific. So when you're watching this video, there's a link down below. You can actually contact Debt Masters and have one of our certified specialists talk to you about what your options are, and then you know where you stand and what you can do about it. So Gilbert, thank you very much. This has been really, really informative. And what do you say we do it all again next week?
Definitely, Bobby. It'll be a pleasure.
Okay, fantastic. So again, folks, free of charge, click the link below and talk to one of our people, one of our certified people, about what the options are for you and your debt. So thank you very, very much for joining us on our show today. Come on back next week for our next talk with Frank Talk with Gilbert. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Bob.